Money, marriage, children, three words that sound simple until you put them together. Many people today whisper the same quiet fear: I can barely afford myself. How could I possibly afford a family? This isn't just a financial question, it's a worldview. More and more young people see marriage and children not as milestones but as liabilities. I once met a college friend who told me she decided never to marry or have kids. Her reason? It's too expensive. Why bring a child into a world I can barely survive in? She said it with the calm certainty of someone who believed she'd reached a higher form of modern wisdom. But behind her logic was something deeper, a quiet surrender. Because when someone says, I don't want kids because life is hard, what they're often saying is, I don't believe I can change my life. That's not enlightenment. That's exhaustion dressed as reason. There's nothing wrong with wanting freedom. But there's a difference between choosing freedom and hiding inside it. The first expands your life. The second quietly shrinks it. Here's a truth the wealthy understand. Every decision in life can either become a debt or an asset, depending on how you treat it. Take a house, for example. To some, it's a crushing mortgage and endless bills. To others, it's a cash-flowing property that earns while they sleep. Same building, different mindset. Children work the same way. Yes, they cost time and money, but so does every investment that ever mattered. The poor see children as expenses. The rich see them as legacy projects, extensions of their values, curiosity, and ambition. Because they don't raise kids to survive the world. They raise them to shape it. People often ask why the wealthy spend so much time on their children. The answer is simple: they understand continuity. They don't just build businesses, they build bloodlines of competence. They see family as the longest-term investment on earth. When a rich parent teaches a child to think independently, that's compound interest on wisdom. When they pass on networks, habits, and decision-making skills, they're transferring assets that never appear on a balance sheet. Meanwhile, many working-class parents, out of fatigue and necessity, hand their kids off to grandparents, people who grew up in a slower, different world. And while the elders mean well, they can't teach adaptation to a world they no longer recognize. This isn't about blame, it's about awareness. The world now changes faster than any generation can keep up with. So if you hand your child's worldview to the past, don't be surprised when they struggle in the future. Education isn't about grades anymore. It's about competitive survival. And the best education starts not in school, but in the mindset of the home. The wealthy know this. That's why they pour energy not just into money, but into mental models. They treat their kids like apprentices of life. They don't ask, what do you want to be? They ask, what problems do you want to solve? And that single shift changes. In ancient times, power was measured in bloodlines. Empires didn't crumble because of one bad king. They fell because no one worthy stood ready to inherit the throne. Think about it. Even the mighty Qin Shi Huang, who unified China and built the Great Wall, couldn't pass on his empire intact. Not because he lacked strength, but because his heirs lacked preparation. A weak successor turns a dynasty into dust. The same happens in modern life. A business without succession is just a job with fancy paperwork. A fortune without wisdom behind it is a time bomb. That's why real wealth builders think in generations. They don't ask, how much can I earn this year? They ask, how long can my vision outlive me? Every parent, whether rich or poor, faces a simple truth. Your children will inherit either your wealth or your fears. If you raise them with doubt, they'll treat ambition like danger. If you raise them with curiosity, they'll treat challenge like oxygen. We often think money makes the difference, but money only multiplies mindset. If your mind is scarce, more money just creates bigger scarcity. If your mind is abundant, every setback becomes a seed. Look at families who stay wealthy for centuries. They talk about ideas at dinner. They teach risk through experience, not through lectures. They treat mistakes as tuition, not as shame. Meanwhile, those trapped in survival mode spend their energy explaining why the world is unfair, and slowly that explanation becomes inheritance. The biggest tragedy isn't poverty. It's when people accept poverty as identity. The wealthy aren't immune to hardship. They simply believe struggle has meaning. To them, the world's cruelty isn't a reason to give up. It's a reminder to grow sharper. Even nature operates this way. A lion doesn't survive because it avoids danger. It survives because it understands it. Every hunt, every fight, every sayer is part of the training. Life doesn't remove difficulty. It rewards adaptation. So when someone says, I won't have kids because life is hard, they're not escaping the struggle. They're just postponing their confrontation with it because someone somewhere still has to face it. Strength doesn't appear when life gets easier. It appears when you stop negotiating with weakness. In business, in parenting, in life, the rule is the same. What you refuse to face will one day control you. And if you choose not to build the next generation, don't be surprised when the world is shaped by those who did. There's a strange illusion spreading today, the idea that not competing makes you free, that rejecting ambition somehow makes you wiser, but refusing to compete doesn't make you free, it just makes you invisible. The truth is, every species on this planet survives because it fights to improve. From the smallest cell to the largest empire, progress is born from friction. Remove the struggle and evolution stops. That same principle applies to humans. You can't meditate your way out of survival. You still need to learn, to adapt, to push. Because the world doesn't pause when you stop trying. Some say competition is cruel, and it is, but so is gravity when you fall. The cruelty isn't personal, it's simply nature. The strong survive not because they're heartless, but because they move even when it hurts. Think about the stock market. If everyone refused to take risk, there would be no growth. Someone must step into uncertainty first. That's how progress works, through those willing to face discomfort. If you fear challenge, you end up living inside someone else's courage. You'll work in the company they built, follow the rules they made, and one day wonder why freedom feels like obedience. Wealth isn't just about money. It's about autonomy, the right to act without permission. But autonomy only belongs to those who dare to compete. Even as children, our first victory was competition. Out of millions, one cell survived. Your existence began as triumph. Why live as if it didn't? Nature doesn't reward pity, it rewards participation. So when people complain that life is unfair, they're half right. Life is unfair, but not against them. It's unfair in favor of the ones who play harder, think longer, and refuse to quit. That's why the wealthy build, while the fearful explain. One sees challenge as invitation, the other sees it as punishment. And the difference between the two creates civilization. If you've made it this far, take a breath. You've just walked through some uncomfortable truths about money, marriage, and strength. But discomfort is where change begins. You don't have to agree with everything said today. You just have to start thinking differently. Because the moment you shift your mindset from fear to growth, the world stops feeling like an enemy and starts becoming your arena. If this message made you pause or helped you see life in a new light, don't keep it to yourself. Share this video with someone you care about, someone who might need a reminder that they're capable of more than they think. And if you want to keep learning how to build wealth, freedom, and a life that actually feels like yours, hit like, subscribe, and turn on the bell. It helps this channel reach more people who are ready to grow. Thank you for spending your time here. I wish you strength in your choices, peace in your journey, and the courage to keep building your own path, one smart step at a time. Feel free to explore the other videos on this channel. Each one is made to guide you toward clarity, freedom, and quiet confidence with money. Until next time, this is The Passive Path. Take care, and I'll see you in the next video.